Welcome to MarcusG.TV. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is chef sellouts. You know, you see all these celebrity chefs, and they all have money ties with a lot of these big companies. They're all taking money. They're all doing something with these big producers, and it infuriates me. David Burke had a deal with Sam Adams, even though Sam Adams is, you might say, well, it's not a huge company like Budweiser. These chefs take money. They take stuff from these big suppliers to get ins on products. For the longest time at David Burke restaurants, I'd go there. I'm like, I just want a good beer. And every beer dinner they were doing this and that, it was all collaboration with Sam Adams. That's because they had David Burke in his back pocket. Here's the latest. Here is the latest. Rick Bayless, celebrity chef Rick Bayless, sells his small batch salsa and sauce company to ConAgra. This just happened September 2016. And you know, it's just like, I guess I'm not in a position to sell my business for millions of dollars to a massive company that doesn't care anything about the employees, anything about our environment, and anything about you. I guess I'm not in that position. If I was in that position, maybe I'd have a change of heart. Maybe I'd say, well, yeah, it's worth the few $1 million to do that. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll be in that position one day. I don't know. But in the meantime, I'm looking at this as like, man, like, example, Lagunitas Brewing Company a couple years ago said we'd rather die on payroll than sell to Budweiser, right, to InBev. And we're like, yeah, that's awesome. Next thing you know, they're selling half the business to Heineken, which is one of the largest beer producers and distributors out there. Oscar Blues, great brewery in Colorado. Dale sold that company, sold it to an investment bank out of Boston. Very hush. So it's just, it's like, man, oh man, what the food supply keeps being gobbled up. We're all complaining that, oh, there's only 5 major beef companies, 5 major poultry, whatever it is, 5 major people producing all of our food, support independent. But we're having less and less choices to do this. So here's the deal with ConAgra and Rick Bayless. First of all, I've been a fan of Rick Bayless for a long time. I have all of his books, eaten at his restaurants, met him years and years ago in the late 90s, met him in person, and I met him through the Chefs Collaborative. He was one of the founding members of the Chefs Collaborative, which is a group of chefs that joined together to get better food on our tables, to support local, to support organic, and put real food on restaurant tables. So Rick Bayless was the pioneer of this. He was like an Alice Waters, except he stepped up and formed the Chefs Collaborative, and I was a member of the Chefs Collaborative. Really respect. Then all of a sudden, like 2 years later, I see him on a McDonald's commercial. I'm like, what? He's doing a McDonald's commercial. So I made us think about it. I said, hey, you know, this is our Chefs Collaborative guy, and he's out there doing McDonald's commercials. I said, this just doesn't make sense. Is he just selling himself out there? And I was told by somebody, well, he took that money and he donated it to farmers. I don't know how true that is, but I never saw a public statement from him saying that, this and that, but he was on the McDonald's commercials talking about the ingredients that they use, and I was like, man, oh man, this is so contradictory. Well, now he sells his business to ConAgra for an undisclosed amount. ConAgra will keep him on. And typically, this is what happens. Same thing with all these other companies. We had a great company here called Sunshine Burger. Sunshine Burger, Carol from Sunshine Burger had this company for, I don't know, 20, 25 years, and she sold to a big company. She sold to Jones Dairy Farm, which does sausages and everything. So she sold this company to Jones Dairy Farm. They, in turn, this is what happens with all these companies, okay? And people say, oh no, it doesn't change, things don't change. Goose Island Brewery, when Budweiser bought them, and when InBev, I keep calling them Budweiser, they're InBev, Anheuser-Busch InBev. When Budweiser InBev bought them, they said, nothing's gonna change. The first thing they did was they changed all the purchasing systems. So you can't buy from the small printer down the street anymore. You have to buy through Budweiser's corporate printer. You have to now buy all the ingredients that they say. So yeah, you can still buy Cascade hops, but you have to buy them from the Cascade hop supplier that's approved from Budweiser, who has to get it on a bid system, who's probably putting an inferior product in that to get in the price, in the loop, and in the system. They took their 315 beer, which is their flagship beer, and immediately moved it to New York to produce it in New York. So things do change, people. The culture changes. I would like to see Lagunitas, how their culture changes, because they have an outrageous culture that's known. People just go there for interviews because of their outrageous culture that they formed there, their fun party culture. So when Sunshine Burger sold here in Ellenville, they had a dozen employees all week working to make the Sunshine Burgers. Well, the new company now does it in Maryland, and one person can do what 12 people did in a half a day, make the same amount of burgers with everything that's automated. Okay, so these big companies don't care about the real estate, they don't care about the employees, they don't care about the community. I guarantee you that something will change at Rick Bayless's place. I guarantee it. He didn't sell the restaurants, he just sold the packaged food company. I guarantee you. And ConAgra is one of the worst companies out there. They have had so many scandals over the years. They are probably the largest beef producer out there. They own Montfort. They are one of the largest beef producers out there. They're the ones that started producing the pink slime several years ago. And that pink slime, and you saw that nasty stuff on the internet. Here's some other things. You know, they've been accused of underweighing trucks because they buy from small farms. They don't produce the food themselves. They just buy it, and then they have all these small farmers in hostage. So they were accused and had to pay over $17 million because they were underweighing what the farmers were sending them. I mean, there's scandal after scandal of stuff that that millions of dollars they've had to pay back over the years. Let's see if I can see anything else here. $17.2 million in damages for the fraud. ConAgra in 1995 agreed to pay $13.2 million to settle class action lawsuit that accused the company of having conspired with other firms to fix prices in the catfish industry. So they go to the other big guys and say, hey, this happens with cattle. Don't bid on cattle today because then the prices will drop, and then we can go in and scoop the prices up. They won't bid on the same days. It's this whole corrupt thing to screw farmers and screw us and screw the environment. This is not how to revitalize an economy and our environment, by selling to these big, massive companies and supporting them. They don't care about us. But like I said, I wasn't offered millions of dollars, and Rick is 62 years old now, so I don't know if he's thinking about retirement. You know, I guess money does something, does weird. People always say money does weird things. The more you get, the weirder things you do. You know, I don't know if Rick Bayless had financial problems with his food company. This was a way to save it. Of course, they're going to keep him on, probably for 5 years and pay him, $250,000 a year to be the figurehead of the company still, and still have the same phone number that transfers over to the same company, even though they'll probably take some of those products and start mass producing them, because ConAgra knows that what Rick Bayless is doing is not going to make money for them. They're looking at it and saying, here's our future, here's our bright future. And to have a bright future, you have to increase production. You have to ramp that up. Budweiser did it with Goose Island. They ramped up production. They did it with Rolling Rock. They ramped up production. That's how you do it. You don't ramp up production in the same facility that you're buying. You bring it onto one of your facilities that already makes all these products, that's already doing this stuff, that has the manpower there and all the equipment there. Just like Sunshine Burger. They didn't buy Sunshine Burger to keep those 12 employees on right down on this block here. They didn't keep them, buy the company to keep those 12 employees employed. They bought it to supply every grocery store across the country with Sunshine Burgers, and to be able to take those 12 employees down to one employee, which they successfully have done. And now, because they're saving labor on 11 employees, they can keep the CEO on, the founder of these companies on. They can pay them $250,000 or $100,000 or whatever it is a year. They can afford now to pay these people this kind of money while the company's growing exponentially. See what happens in grocery stores. It happens with beer. It happens with a bunch of things. All of that space that you see, all that shelving space, all the stuff on the shelves is considered real estate. It's hard for you and I to start a company and all of a sudden get into a grocery store and say, hey, I have this product that I want to put on your shelf. They're going to look at you and say, well, our shelves are full already. Or you could buy a SKU. And that's what happens. You have to pay a product to get placed in a SKU in a grocery store. Those posters that are sitting out advertising things in the windows, that all costs money. When you get a flyer from a grocery store and you see all the stuff that's in the flyer on sale, and you see these big ads inside a weekly flyer from ShopRite or something, or Safeway, I can guarantee you those companies It's not ShopRite that's giving you the discount. It's not Safeway that's giving you the discount. They're going back to their suppliers and saying, hey, we'll put your product on special, but you got to kick back to us. You got to take money off of this. It happens in food shows all the time. I go to food shows. Oh, buy this product for 20% off. The food distributor's not really giving you 20% off. They might be giving you 10%, and then they go beat up their supplier for the other 10%. So back to the grocery stores, Budweiser knows this. You put out as many different size bottles of the same product that you can, because when you get a brand new product, you can slip out that 20-ounce Bud Light and stick in another thing because you already own the property. You already own that SKU. It's real estate. So the whole system to begin with is so fixed that for us to start a small company and say, I have this great granola, let's put it on your shelf, is a very hard task to do. You have to hire brokers. You have to do all these food shows. It's just not creating good product just going out there. There's a lot that's involved in this. And this will help. Conagra buying Frontera Foods will help them because they're in every major grocery store across the country. In majority of countries, they have products there. They have the shelving. So they can just slip this product right in, and to slip the product right in, you bet they're going to ramp up production big time. Good for Rick Bayless, good for making money. It's the American dream. Build your company, work hard, sweat at it, work hard, and sell out to a big company that's going to give you millions of dollars or $500,000, and then totally bastardize your product and live off these companies. The only reason they last, one of the only reasons they last with these brands they buy is because of what Rick Bayless has done for the last 20 years in that brand, or whatever brand they're buying. These owners, what the sweat equity they've put into these companies and their reputation, that's how they're surviving, based upon the reputation based upon all the hard work that's been done already. General Mills, Conagra, they don't start new companies. They very, very, very rarely start a new company. They go in and they buy what's successful. They wait till all the hard work is done, and then they go in and say, oh, you got the name recognition of 20 years, we're going to blow you up. Let's do all the rest. We can do the best. We can lie, we can cheat, we can screw people, we can get your product into every single grocery store in the country. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for listening to this rant. Like I said, I'm not in the position, I haven't been offered $1 million for my restaurant from a big company. If I did, maybe I might be making a different video. We'll see what happens.